You're listening to the Jan Price Show, all about movies. And today, my guest is Genevieve Adams, who is the writer, director, producer, and star of a brand new, fun movie entitled, I hope I pronounced this correctly, Simchas and Sorrows. Did I pronounce it okay?
Yes, you did. Thank you for having me.
Well, you're so welcome. It's a pleasure having you on the show. Wow, there's a lot to this movie. It's a fun movie. I really did enjoy it immensely. And so our audience knows. Why don't you tell them a little bit about what Simchas and Sorrows is all about?
Well, Simchas and Sorrows is a romantic dramedy about a secular, free-spirited atheist actress named Agnes, who is my character in the film, who is attempting to convert to Judaism to marry the man that she loves, Levi, played by Thomas McDonnell. And it's set in Brooklyn. We shot all around New York City. And it's just a film full of characters. There's a lot of heart. It takes on some political issues, and we hope it's thought provoking and fun to watch.
It is thought provoking. And as I said, there's a lot to it. So it is interesting. One of the reasons I was interested in this, just to give you a little background here, I also was raised Catholic and I also married a man who was Jewish.
Oh.
And I also started the process of converting at one point in time and decided not to. But for my own personal reasons not to, but anyhow, so I was interested in this story to see where you were going to go with it. It's my former husband and we are still very, 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 very close and good friends through all these years, so that's the nice part of all of it. But your story would sort of parallel to mine in the beginning, except I wasn't pregnant.
Yeah, that part wasn't true for me either at the time. Although I do have a 4-month-old now.
Oh,
Um,
congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you. But yeah, I've in talking to friends and people about this film, audiences across the country, I've learned that it's true for a lot of people, or the story resonates with a lot of people, whether or not they have embarked on an interfaith marriage or they are religious or not religious. The whole process of merging with another family and joining another tribe of people is often full of comedy and pain sometimes and difficult things. So um I thought this was a story that I had to share because it is so relevant and compelling to so many people.
It is. No, so this story is really based on your life, correct?
That's where it started. There's a lot of things about it that are not about Agnes that are not true about me, but I definitely got the inspiration to write the film from my own experiences taking this class that I took with my now husband at Central Synagogue before we got married. And I ended up not converting either, similar to you for my own reasons, but I thought, it led to a lot of self-discovery and sort of questioning of, life's big questions.
Well, there's a lot of, even though it's I think you're right. It's a dramedy. There's a lot of heart to it, but there you do ask a lot of really interesting questions or thought-provoking questions for people who are watching this after the film can start many different conversations. And I always think that's when a film does that, it's a really good film in my opinion, because I always love when you go and you start talking about it with somebody and go, what did, and then it stimulates the conversation. And that's what you've successfully done with this film. So kudos to you
Thank you.
for doing that. You're welcome. No, really. So let's talk about some of those questions that you pose in this. For you, what was the most important theme? Because there are a number of them, but what for you was the most important theme in this picture?
That's a great question. I think the organizing theme for me came from the David Foster Wallace, the clip of that speech that I play that Agnes is listening to at the beginning of the film, where he talks about no one's really an atheist in this world. Like everyone worships something, and it's all about what you choose to worship. And the only thing that can really sustain you long term, or the only thing that really makes us human beings happy, I hate to use that word, but are fulfilled or satisfied, is the little, unsexy things that we do for the people we love. And that I thought that was a really beautiful sentiment. And I think that ultimately most religions, there's different specifics and different rituals, but at the basis, the core of religions, the good part is very similar and universal. And that is, to love your neighbor and to take care of the earth. And at least those are the positive messages I get from a lot of religions. And I think that there's a thread there. But I really liked, anyways, his David Foster Wallace's sentiment. And I thought that was a really just important message. And I had never heard it phrased quite in that way and so beautifully said. So I wanted to explore that and see if I could tell a story that showed people living that out or figuring that out.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that was, in this film, I thought that was very important. And also in just doing the reading and the research, seeing it written down, also with, something that I did want to talk about. So I'm so glad you brought that up, because it is such a beautiful quote. And it does say so much, and it's deep. Again, that stimulates the conversation around that. So, what was for you also, I mean, what was the most difficult part? I mean, because here you are, you wrote it, you directed it, you produced it, and you starred in it. I mean, you're a tour de force to be
Well,
reckoned with. So out of all, I mean, there's so many things, but let's talk about the actual, it's so hard. And we all know this. That's why I do this show, is to highlight independent filmmakers and documentarians, because, there's not many places to talk about what they do, but it's so hard to get done what they want to do. So it's always wonderful talking to people who are passionate about what they're doing. And obviously that's what you have been with this film. But putting it together, how long did it take you to raise the money? What obstacles hoops did you have to go through to get it made?
so many, and I feel like I'm still going through that. We're lucky that we have a distribution deal, and the film is going to be released on September 20th, and we're doing a limited theatrical release at the Lemley NoHo in Los Angeles starting on September 16th. So it's been a long road though to get there. You're right, and it's incredibly difficult as a tiny film like this to get off the ground, and we had many delays because of COVID. I'd say that was probably one of the biggest obstacles. We were really concerned with everyone's safety and the health and safety of our cast and crew. Luckily, no one got sick and everyone remained well. So that, we had a nice little pocket of time in the summer where things were better in New York City, and we were able to make the film. So I'm still really grateful for that. I can't really believe that we actually finally got to shoot the film because it took so long. But yeah, it took many years to raise the money and to get the green light to go and put together. Then once we did, and once COVID was, had allowed us to have this window in the summer to do it, we moved pretty quickly. But it's definitely years of like trying to figure it out and putting, asking people, but if I can make this, would you be a part of it? And I sort of like collect people, and then hopefully once you get to the place where you can say, okay, we're finally starting principal photography, hopefully most of those people will be there. And I was lucky that I had some people, great producers like Matt Ott and Hannah Swayze and Jackie Donahue, who stuck by me.
How long did it, that is great. It's great. I'm like you. I like to collect people and bring them together with my project, whatever I'm working on too. How, so for, I lost my question. I was going to ask you, but I have many of them. So it'll come back. But as far, how long did it take you to shoot it? That's what I was going to ask you. How many days?
21 days.
21 days. That seems to be the average. I did talk to some Neil LaBoot last week, and he said it was 11 days. I thought that was like, I
Oh
know.
my God, a feature?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some people, yeah, if you have one location, we had a lot of locations, or
Mm,
if you have less locations, I tend to write stories with a huge cast and a huge number of locations, which is, you know, crazy.
right. Right.
But we had a great first AD, Alex Backus, and I worked with a wonderful cinematographer, Daniel Contaldo, and our crew is just a very intrepid group of hardworking people, and we were able to pull it off. But yeah, it's a challenge. It's a lot.
It is a lot, and especially wearing all the hats that you wore. So, what was you for you again to go back? What was out of those hats? I mean, how hard was it directing yourself in this film?
The part was so close to, I mean, like I said, there was a lot of details about Agnes that are not true about me, but the tone and the way she speaks and um, the sort of dialogue was very close to how I speak and my mannerisms and things like that. So I didn't have to reach very far for the acting, which isn't to say that it wasn't a challenge. Acting is always challenging because you have to be very present in the moment and very open and available to everything. So you in that it is challenging. But I sort of knew who Agnes was, and so I knew what I wanted. So, and we didn't have the luxury of time, so I couldn't go for a million takes even if I wanted to. So that helped, and also acting with Thomas, who's just a great, really smart actor. John Cullum is incredible. Like, he's a legend. I was so lucky to share the screen with Chip Zien and Julie Halston and Greg Bello, and the list goes on and on and on. So it's just and Hari Neff. So they, those, when you're working with good actors, they make you look better. And I just tried to focus on getting the story told and not be super picky about my own performance, in the sense that if I could get the lines out and get what was needed out of the scene, we would move on.
Well, you did a great job with that. Let's talk about the cast. I do want to talk about Thomas McDonald. You worked with him on another film that you did. He's adorable, actually, really adorable. Let's talk about. I do want to talk about Hari Neff, and of course, the incomparable John Cullum. Cullum. Yeah, I love him. I've always loved him. So let's talk about the casting and because they're all absolutely wonderful in their roles. So how did you attract John Cullum into this film? Let's start with that.
I still can't believe you said yes. I can't believe anyone said yes. um, I John was just sent the script, and his manager was sent the script and passed it on to him, and he read it and said he loved it. And one of the things he told me that will stay with me for the rest of my life was that he loved, because he was very specific about what he loved about it. And one of the things was, like, he liked how jagged the dialogue was, in the sense that one character would say something and the other character wouldn't necessarily answer that person, the way we do in conversations. It's like, it's not always so clean. And he goes, so many scripts are so um written, and this feels like people talking. And so I thought that was, for me as a writer, that was a great compliment. And to work with someone who's had such a storied career in the theater too, it was just a dream come true. He just liked the script. We just sent it to him. It was pretty great.
Why
And
did you choose? Why did you choose him to send the script to?
he was on a list that uh Harrison and Scotty, my casting director, sent to me, and he's always been a favorite of mine. I saw him in August Osage County on Broadway, and I was very familiar with his work. So when they put his name on the list, I was like, really? Really? You think he might? And they were like, well, it's worth a try. And so it was sort of a no-brainer. It was their idea, but I was like, well, as soon as I saw his name, I was like, that is genius. That is Nate. And he
Right.
was, and it just, I'm glad he felt the same way.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He's wonderful in it. Yeah. And you two together are really wonderful. Your scenes together are great.
Thank you. Well, he made it very easy. So
Isn't that nice?
it
It's
really
always
is.
nice
It's
when that
You
happens.
realize what a professional really looks like. And we shot all of his scenes in one day. I only wish we had more time. You know, we could have hung out and chatted, but it was very rushed because we had such a tight schedule. But yeah, he's amazing to work like he did under pressure like that, and have your first day also be your last day. It's a whirlwind, and
That is.
he's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about the Thomas McDonald who plays Levi, your husband. With that name, I don't believe he's Jewish, is he?
He actually is, and I knew people were going to say that
I was curious. I
when
was curious because he's adorable. Absolutely
yeah.
adorable.
Well, Thomas and I actually both grew up in New York City. Thomas's mom is Jewish. His dad is, I think, of Irish descent, hence McDonald. But uh, I just always thought he's such a smart actor, and I didn't want somebody like goof. I didn't want it to be like goofy or like shticky about,
Right. Right.
and I think a lot of men who are Jewish and not necessarily like, maybe they don't look overtly Jewish, or they have a name like Thomas McDonald or whatever, they still encountered, they still are Jewish. And to me, he's very much, since I know him from New York and, Manhattan, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense that Thomas had a Jewish mom. Like everyone in New York has like one Jewish parent. And like my grandfather was Jewish. So it's like, we're all a little bit Jewish in New York. And, he often gets asked to play sort of different kinds of roles. And I feel like he's a very smart guy. And I thought the dialogue needed someone who reads that way. And he, to me, he's a great person to work with because he's so good at, he's very spontaneous and good at listening on camera. So you can, he's really willing to go with the flow. And I knew I needed that because we were asking a lot of our actors.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, in that short period of time, well, he's adorable with you, and you have great chemistry in the film. Hari Neff as plays Rabbi Cohen, and I think she's just adorable in this also. So let's talk about her because that's a great role. I mean, she's so good. She's a scene stealer, I have to just tell you. She does every
Oh
scene
yeah.
she's in, she steals it. So you just gotta, well, this film is really fun, but watch her performance for sure. So
No,
let's think about it.
that's what we were looking for when we were casting. We were looking for a scene stealer. We really wanted this part to be a gift to an actor. It had a lot of potential on the page, but Hari certainly brought it to the next level. And we worked on the scene, the Yom Kippur sermon scene together, and she actually gave me a lot of good material. I started to go there in that speech, but she really encouraged me to like fully go there. And that I'm really grateful for that because I was a little hesitant to get into Israel and Palestine, and Hari assured me that it was the right moment, and if we did it in the right way, it wouldn't be polarizing, it would just be thought provoking, and I think we achieved that. So I was really grateful to her for a bunch of reasons for coming onto the project, but she's a terrific actress and a wonderful, smart person.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. No, it's she's wonderful in it, and it's I said it's great, and that is a great speech that she gives, of that sermon that she gives at that point in time. All right, I want to talk about your costumes because your costumes were almost like another character in this movie. So that's are those from your closet or did you have a costume designer?
We had a wonderful costume designer, the amazing Mama Hills, who is actually my mom.
Okay.
So yeah, she was, a joy to work with.
Sure.
Some of it was from my closet, some of it was stuff that we got just for Agnes. But yeah, we had a lot of fun with it. I wanted there to be a lot of bright colors on her and have her sort of stand out in that way. Because, New Yorkers can dress, and I tend to dress a little more drab. And then I thought that she's sort of this like bright ball of a lot. And so I wanted that to be reflected in the wardrobe and on screen.
Well, you did for sure. I mean, as I said, it's like another character in the film. I was like, what is she going to have on next?
Oh, that's great.
Because
I will pass that along to Hillary.
yes, please do. Mama Hill, for
Mama Hills.
sure, for sure. Well, I have to just tell you, you and your acting style and the way this film is directed reminded me, well, I was watching it, of the wonderful Greta Gerwig. And so I just wanted you to know that because it just reminded me of how similar how you both are and how your styles are. So I wanted to ask you, who do you admire? What female filmmakers do you admire most, and whose path do you want to, like, do you want to, obviously you're blazing your own trail, but is there somebody who you like to follow and see what they're doing next and see if it's something that resonates with you and you would like to not copy but certainly emulate?
Well, thank you for the Greta Gerwig comparison. I have heard it before, and I find it incredibly flattering. Hers is definitely a career that, who wouldn't want to have that kind of career? She's
Right.
wonderfully talented and versatile, and just a great performer and a really great director. So I'm in awe of her. I've always looked up to Sofia Coppola,
Yes.
who
Yeah.
I think just makes really beautiful films and isn't concerned with, it seems to me, what she's not trying to make something for an audience. She's making something that she loves and trusting that there are other people out there like her, and she doesn't push anything. It's sort of she's very good at quiet, kind of beautiful filmmaking, and I really admire that. Nicole Holofcener, I love her films. I find her just really witty and sharp, and her sense of humor is just always on point. Rebecca Miller, who actually made a film with Greta Gerwig called Maggie's Plan. She's made a bunch of films, but I think she's really wonderful, and her films are really unique and specific, and have some excellent characters. And I mean, there's so many. I love movies. I love the theater, and I have a ton of heroes, but those are just a few.
Good ones, good ones. I had Sophia Coppola's mother on my show, Eleanor Coppola, who started directing later in life. So that's kind,
Oh,
I
well,
love it that she, yeah,
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 it's all in the family there.
it is. But she, it was something that she decided to just do later, and so it was kind of
That's great.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's never too late to do anything you
never.
love to do in life. Keep your dreams alive and do them. What's next for you?
I have another script. I have, as I mentioned, a 4-month-old at home, so I'm trying to
See,
learn how to juggle motherhood with writing and acting and auditioning and all that stuff. So I'm sure once the fall starts, hopefully I can take a deep breath once we've done the LA release and start working more on getting that next film launched. But there's always the next one, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
is your husband involved in the business also?
No,
No.
which
It's
is
okay.
great. I have in the past dated people in the business, and it's hard. It's a tough business, and I think it's really nice to actually, my husband and I met in college, and it's nice to be with someone in a different field, because you meet other people in other businesses and other walks of life. And I mean, in the entertainment business, you meet people from all walks of life, which is why one of the reasons I love it. But yeah, it's nice to be with someone too that does something different, just to get other perspectives on the world. And yeah.
So, what advice would you give to a young filmmaker coming up right now?
Don't wait for anyone to tell you it's okay to do it, especially if you're a woman. It's really hard to have the guts to do it, and people will try and tear you down and say, why, oh, you're really going to write, act, direct, and produce. Oh, okay. Just try and tune that stuff out, because you don't need permission. If you're an artist, you don't need permission, and you just need to make the work and create. And that's ultimately, people can stand back when it's done and say whatever they want, but you made something, and that people can't take that away from you. So I think that's a really powerful thing to keep in mind, and something that I think little girls need to be told more often, because it's hard to be the director and be the boss, and take control in that way and take ownership. But it's so worth it. It's really rewarding, and uh you know you got to do what you got to do if
Yeah.
that's what you love.
Yeah, you do have to do what you love. Out of all the hats that you wear, directing, producing, writing, and acting, which is your favorite?
I love acting, but I love writing. I don't know. They all kind of feed each other. I don't really see, it's weird, maybe. I don't see them as separate so much, because they all feed each other. I see myself, I guess, as a filmmaker, and I think I love making films. I also love making plays. So I don't know if I see myself as an artist and as a creator of things. I think they feed each other, and they're really not that distinct. The lines are very blurred, for me at least. But
Well, Genevieve, I wish you much success with this film, Simchas and Sorrows. Let people know where it is playing. You said it's playing in LA and New York.
yes, well, we just have a limited theatrical release in LA, which begins on September 16th at the NoHo Lenley Theater in North Hollywood, and then we will be releasing on streaming on September 20th, and video on demand. And right now the film is available for pre-order on iTunes. So
Wonderful. Much
pre-order.
success. I look forward to having you back on the show with your next project. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful
Thank you,
day.
Jan. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.